Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna share with you this setup. I'm using animation nodes add-on and Sverchok add-on basically together to generate this kind of setup. What is this exactly? It's basically I'm using 15 spotlight and kind of random, kind of instancing the spotlight like 15 times. This is the original spotlight I'm selecting. I can actually hide it, while the rest of them is being duplicated using animation nodes. And at the same time, Sverchok actually repositioning all the light. It's kind of moving it ups and downs. And then there is also Blender constraints for each light that's kind of pointing to Suzanne. So Suzanne in the middle is just like the monkey head. I can move Suzanne. The light will follow. The floor itself is actually being generated using Sverchok. So I can change the size really easily. I can, turn it into a wall or something. So yeah, this is like a kind of like the kind of setup collaborations you can do using animation nodes and Sverchok. In reality, you can do everything similar setup using just animation nodes by using loops if you feel like doing that. You need to use like loop through objects in order to do this inside animation nodes. With Sverchok, you don't need to use loops. It's basically like you pipe in bunch of array into all this bunch of objects at the same time. You don't need to use loop. Loop is not necessarily bad. Actually, sometimes I do want some kind of loops inside Sverchok, but to do this, in Sverchok, where you're able to use like a list and arrays and just pipe in all the values into bunch of objects. Like see, like in this case, I have 15 lamps, and I'm modifying the locations, and also what else? What else did I do? I think I'm changing the delta locations. So yeah, I can actually change the color of the light using Sverchok, but anyway, I can set this up from scratch very quickly. This is rather simple, but there are a lot of overlapping concepts that we have learned before, and I'm just gonna do like a basic one real quick. So Blender decided to close itself. It's okay, I'm about to restart it anyway. Let's wait 5 seconds. If you are watching it on YouTube, and you can tap on the fast forward. So now we have a clean 3D space. I will select everything, tap A and then X to delete all. So we don't have anything in the 3D work in the 3D view here. We don't have nothing there. So I'm gonna save this. So this is Suzanne and lamp. I'll go to compositing, and I'll use animation nodes, and the nodes I will be using is the instancer. Shift A, search instance, object instancer. I still like the animation nodes object instancer because Sverchok doesn't really have this yet. Sverchok has a way to duplicate mesh, but for objects I still need to use animation nodes. So I'll create a spotlight. So that's gonna be the original spotlight. I'll show you in the outliner. So we have this original one. This is gonna be the master, and I will be duplicating it 15 times. We've got 15 times. I think 15 is the limit for my computer. Otherwise, more than that, and I can't see it in the 3D view. You will see it later. So I'll select the spotlight, bring it into animation nodes, and I'll copy full objects and make a deep copy. If I don't turn this on, see, if I make like duplicates, you will see that the copy looks like this. It's becoming like an instance. But if I copy full objects, I'm getting like a full names, and that's much better. So I'll have like a 5 spotlight for now, and that's it in animation nodes. Now I'll switch to Sverchok. I'm just gonna switch it here. So Sverchok, new node 3, and I will try to get all these spotlights in Sverchok, and the way to do that is just using the object selector, object ID selector. So I'm using Shift A. You can actually jump to the BPY data. This is all the nodes that's related to objects access. Object ID selector is the one that I'm gonna be using. See, this is set to objects by default, but you can also look at other data blocks, objects, and select the lamp. Okay. By default, you can select it from here, but we're not gonna do that. If you leave this blank, it will select all the light in the scene. I'll show you real quick. Using the stethoscope, I can see it here. It's selecting all the lights, including the master. See, this master is called spot. We don't want to select spot, so we want to filter it out. So we use the BPY object ID filter and just filter it by name. Spot dot. Just type in spot and then dot, because we know the original doesn't have a dot. This is the copy. This is spot 001, spot dot 002. So that's the instance being generated on the fly using animation nodes. I'll prove it to you that if I go back to animation nodes here and then increase the number, and if I update it, if I just scrub a little bit, see, Sverchok updates. So that's important. So now that we have the object duplicates being selected in Sverchok, we can change the position very quickly. For example, let's say we want to randomize the position, we can do that. Let me make sure something. Let's use the BPY data and object ID set. So plug in the objects that have this name, spot dot, and then we can change the location very easily. We can test it using random vector, and then set the value, the number. So we have 8, so just set it to 8. Plug this into the value, and now we should have random position of spotlight using Sverchok. And let's quickly create a floor using a plane MK2. This is a plane generator in Sverchok. We can output it using viewer bmesh, and let's name it floor. Plug this in there, and we should have our floor. Scale it a little bit, center it, and set this to material so we can see the spotlight. There you go. We have a quick setup, random positioning of spotlight. Like I said, if I duplicate the spotlight more than 15, it will not work on my computer. I don't know, maybe it will work on your computer. Let's have like 16, for example. 16C, and my 3D view totally doesn't work anymore, so I'll just set it to 15. Randomize the spotlight. If I want to change the lamp color, I can do that as well. Actually, simply by using the object ID set once again, pipe in the objects, and then let's say for the data.color of the lamp, which is this guy right here, I want to change it to all to red, for example. I can easily do that. Change it to other color, or maybe I want to use like a random color. I can do that as well. Random color, I can use random vector or color in, and here I can use HSV and use a random number generator. Random number is going to be between 0 and 1, size maybe 15. Plug into the hue, and plug this into the value, and we have random lamp color being generated on the fly. So you can see Sverchok now becoming pretty fluent with the object ID and data props manipulations. I think that's really cool. Let's say if you want to kind of move the lamp like randomly in rotations, you can also do that pretty quickly. I'll do that in the x-axis perhaps. So I'll pipe this in again and pipe the objects there, and then here I'm gonna change the rotation Euler. So this is the data, and the value is gonna be vector. See, I can now kind of move the lamp in the x-axis. So instead of random position here for the delta locations, I'm gonna use a line, and let's make it 15. Plug the line into the value, and now the lamp should be nicely ordered like a line. See, I can change the stepping value. If I want to move the plane, I can do that as well, simply by using a move here and use a vector to move the plane. Move it in the x-axis like so. It's pretty easy. And if you want to increase the floor in x, we can do that. Everything's procedural. So this is the plane, objects. If we want to have Suzanne, we can do that as well, but I'm not gonna do that for now. So we have this ability to kind of rotate the spotlight in x, which is cool. But if you want to randomize the kind of stagger the motion instead of everything rotating at the same time, we can do that as well, just simply like using frame and offsetting it slightly. So I'm using frame here, and then I'm gonna use math. So now we can see the spotlight's kind of moving like a sine wave. It's rotating in x, controlled by the time frame and also the sine wave functions. The next thing I want to do is to use math and kind of offset the time slightly for each lamp. Range float, make a 15 different offset value, and plug this there. And you can see now we have this slight offset for each lamp. Let me reduce that a little bit. Maybe the time is too fast, so I'm gonna use multiplier. So yeah, that's slightly better. Maybe it can be tweaked slightly better, but anyway, all kind of lamp properties can be controlled here. For example, if you want to change the soft value here, like the blend value, you want to make like the spotlight more soft like that, just look at the parameter name, spot blend. So data spot blend, just simply pipe this guy in and spot blend data. Plug in the value like 0.2, plug into this guy, and then everything should update. You might notice that currently it feels a little bit slower. Apparently when we use the data like this, like the data spot or things like that, it actually slows down Blender somehow. If I disconnect it, it should be a lot faster somehow. I don't know why, but I think the data access for the lamp slows down Blender. Let me do something real quick. Vector move, and I'm gonna move the line a little bit higher and make the floor slightly bigger as well. Okay, now we can see the whole setup in real time. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Maybe I can do one more here. One more thing. Floor with the time. Maybe while this is running, I can adjust the time. And hopefully we can get a more interesting wave. Probably the offset is too big here. So I'll make it 0 and 150. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. You can of course use more than 15 spotlight. In my case, I think 15 or 16 spotlight is the maximum if you want to display it in 3D. But if you have like you can have definitely have more lamp and then render it out, because it will still work. If you render it out, you can have like 100 light and it will work, no problem. But anyway, this is just a quick setup using Sverchok. Remember, like I said, you can always use animation nodes to do all this. If you use loop and then using object attribute output, and then here you kind of set it up. Okay, for each object you want to change the blend, for example, or the spotlight shape, for example. This one is a spot size, data, value has a wrong type, okay, float. With animation nodes, you need to be clear with the data types. With Sverchok, actually, you can use any kind of data, and then it will try to convert it. With animation nodes, you will be you need to be more strict with the data type, if it's float or integer or vector or color. So yeah, you see, you can do the same thing. Spot size, you can do this in Sverchok as well. You don't need to use loop. It will work like a vectorize from inside it. Type in the object, data spot size, and just control it using float. And now we can control the spotlight like that. So yeah, it's I guess this is very useful. A lot of concepts here. Don't be surprised you suddenly end up with like a lot of nodes, but it's actually still pretty easy. See, I'll summarize everything. We duplicate the objects. In this case, is a lamp using animation nodes, and then inside Sverchok we kind of filter it out. Filter by name here, spot dot. After we get all the objects, we can change the delta locations, change the color of the lamp, change the lamp rotation Euler, all these properties, data of the lamp, each one of them, or you can also randomize it very easily. If you use like array, like list of numbers, and plug it into the value here, Sverchok will vectorize and then will modify each lamp separately. So yeah, it's I guess this is pretty much it. Hopefully this is useful. I think this is very crucial if you want to use Sverchok or animation nodes. Still basic, but you can do quite a lot. Okay, so if you have any question, feedbacks, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.